more than me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a 6th sense for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chains. Can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys, cause I break the chains. They try to hold me, I'ma push back, just wait and you'll see. Please excuse me, your honor, but you can't hold me no longer. Can't you feel the vibrations? I broke out and left traces. Go ahead, try to catch me if you can, man. You'll be looking all night, I'm the Sandman. New York, London to Japan. I'ma show the whole world who I am. Boom, boom, major look, huh? Yeah, this one is for the books. All these chances I took still. I move straight on these rooks now. Hold me up or hold me down. Have my back or hold my crown. Either you with me or not, but you better give all you got, cause I break the chains. Can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys, cause I break the chains. They try to hold me, I'ma push back. Just wait and you'll see.
What's going on?
There we go.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's TalkCast session. I am your host, XDelicious, and with me today I have very special guests. I have BigDaddyBreezy, lactakelvin, and Jelly Spotter. Thank you guys very much for joining today. As a quick reminder, when we're talking with our guests, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. Our moderators will get it to our two hosts, and then we'll make sure to answer your questions. And then during the intermission time, our two guests will be able to actually talk to chat. So feel free to, be your guys' selves, interact with each other, get to know each other, because that is why we're here. We're here to get to know each other, hang out, get some smiles, see your faces. And I see these three beautiful faces here. So if you guys don't know them, let's get a little introduction going. So BigDaddyBreezy, if you'd like to start off, kind of introduce yourself, kind of, let the community know who you are, and if they don't know, why they should know.
How's it going, guys? I am BigDaddyBreezy91, also known as Jay. I am a FPS, sports, and variety streamer. I am live Monday to Friday, generally in the afternoon. I'm here for a good time. I'm always positive. The vibes are always high in my channel. I'm looking for people that are just trying to match those vibes and come to hang out and have a good time.
And always such the humble character that he is. He forgets to mention he is devilishly handsome. Look at that beard. It just screams beauty. I feel it all the time. So next up, we'll start with Jelly. If you'd like to give a little introduction to yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Jelly. I've been streaming since last August, so not quite a year. I stream mostly Warzone, mostly because I'm too competitive in most things I do, even though I'm not the best Warzone player, but try my hardest. But yeah, my channel's really just about having fun more than it is being too serious. I mean, when I'm playing, I focus more on the chat than the game, so I'm just happy when when anybody comes around and we could just keep it lighthearted and run some troll classes or something like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Jelly also fails to mention that she does 360 no scopes without touching the controller. It's crazy to see.
That's a lie.
lactakelvin or LK, if you'd like to introduce yourself and kind of let the community know who you are.
Yeah, so my name is LK. I'm actually a 22-year-old university student, so this is kind of just like a hobby for me. I stream FPS most of the time at the moment. During the semester, I dabble a little bit more into um, some more like science, just chatting. I'm a biology student, so I really enjoy science, and I really enjoy explaining scientific topics to other people that I find interesting. So I've done, just chatting streams presenting on the um, science behind weed, the science behind sex, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, this is just kind of, I've been streaming since March, I think. So yeah, I just enjoy. I'm just like Jelly. Whenever I stream FPS, is mostly just for the lulz and just hang out and have
Way
fun.
more fun that way.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome, and thank you guys again, all three of you, for being on today. So today we're going to do a little bit different. Today we're going to make it kind of more of a round table, so that way we're just going to ask questions to both and kind of just do kind of like just a free chat. Figure it'd just be a little bit more interactive, get you guys just to be yourselves, kind of just loosen the shoulders, roll the neck a little bit, and just remember you got everyone's here. We're all family, and it's very cool that we all get to do this together. So I guess I'll go ahead and start off kind of with streaming. We all kind of fell into it a certain way, whether it was like friends or family, or you were just bored one night on Twitch and you saw someone else streaming. What kind of inspired you guys to actually start streaming?
Jelly, you
go
can
first
you
if
can
you
take that.
All right.
You can take that.
So my fiance actually attempted the whole streaming game before me, because I'd never even watched like any streamers ever. I barely even knew what Twitch was last year. So he started doing that, and then I started getting into like watching the YouTube videos of the big guys like Nick and Tim and all them for Warzone. And I just found it like a whole different world and like very interesting. So I just wanted to kind of give it a whirl and see what it was all about. And I think streaming is like, it kind of brings out the more creative side in me. It's easy to get into a habit, like kind of a Groundhog's Day kind of life. So streaming is a aspect that's a little more creative and fun, I guess, than the normal day-to-day stuff. So it just kind of allowed me to dive into that. So once I realized how much freedom there was with like customizing your channel and meeting new people and whatnot, I found it very interesting. So I just decided to keep doing it.
No, that's
Um,
awesome.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. Okay, I apologize. Go ahead.
No, for me, it was more so. I mean, most of everything that I do is because it's for medical school. My ultimate goal is to go to medical school. So, um, I was like, well, maybe I can just, start streaming and kind of, because I had seen people just do just chatting streams, and where they just kind of sat there and like, engaged with chat. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I can do something like that and make it like spice it up, make it science or something, because number one, that's my major. I'm a science major. And number two, I like educating people because I feel like there's such a lack of education in respect to science, um, just in general, like not even just in this country, but in several other countries. Um, and I like educating people, especially on something that I'm passionate about. And so I thought maybe I could do that with streaming. And so I was like, well, maybe I can just do just chatting, start presenting, different ideas and stuff and different topics that I find interesting to people. And especially because I find that the lack of education also comes because there's such a lack of initiative to teach people in layman's terms. There's such jargon that people use in academia that you don't necessarily have to use to teach some of these concepts to people. And so I find it really easy to put it in layman's terms for people who aren't, PhDs in microbiology or something. And so I started with that, and then I got into video games as well because my brother told me that there was a study done on surgeons who play video games, and he said that, it decreased their mistakes during surgery and increased their speed to, finish their, whatever selected surgery it is that they're performing, um, by like twofold. And so it had to do with something about like hand-eye coordination and stuff. So I got back into playing video games, and then I started doing like the just chatting streams. And so then, and now I've just really started to enjoy it. But yeah, that's basically how I started up my stream.
Oh, that's actually really cool. I know I've seen some just chatting streams where like what you were saying, like other medical students will go on and just talk about like what you were just saying, like different topics and being able to educate some of us that don't know. And it's really good because you know we're a species that always loves to learn. So you'll find that as you continue to teach, you're gonna find a whole plethora of people that are like, I never knew that. My body needs oxygen to breathe. What is this? Right, but
Yeah.
no, I mean I know it's so much deeper than that, and I say that as a light joke, but it's true. Like on when you're talking about your biology and stuff, and bringing light to stuff that we didn't know about. So that's awesome. That's a great start. And then so Breezy, what you got lined up for us?
Let's see. I guess you know what, here, we'll ask both of you this one. Since becoming an affiliate, what's been your biggest accomplishment?
Oh, getting my paycheck
I know, right?
from Twitch. I don't know. Like, I mean, I've had. I mean, I like the. I mean, yeah, the paycheck is nice, but I haven't really had any like monumental moments. I've pretty much. I feel it an accomplishment just to be able to educate other people. Like for example, I had a stream where I was talking about the Gardasil vaccine because we have a new Gardasil vaccine that protects against HPV that is for people up to age 45, I believe, from 27 to 45 because they had approved the original one for women up to age 26. But they created this new vaccine that has more variants of the HPV virus that can cause anything from cervical cancer, penile cancer, testicular cancer, all kinds of cancers in both men and women. Um, and I was talking about it, and I said, somebody in my chat said, "Well, I've already been exposed to HPV." And I said, "Well, you could have been exposed to one strain, but this vaccine protects against 9. So even if you've already been exposed to one, you still are still able to be afforded the protection against the other 8." And she didn't know that. And I said, "You need to talk to your OBGYN about getting, your Gardasil vaccines as soon as possible," because I think she was like, I don't know, 41. So she was still within the age cutoff. And she didn't know that. She's like, "Oh my God, I'll set up an appointment tomorrow, with my doctor to talk about it." And I think that is an accomplishment in and of itself because now I have helped somebody inform themselves of something that can affect their health now and in the future. And so that's something really good that I take pride in. So, I have several accomplishments like that. So I can't pinpoint just one.
No, absolutely.
I think you're muted.
I don't. Oh, sorry. I don't know if I could top that. Like helping people in real life, but no, I think like a lot of people get very like caught up in the stats and whatnot of streaming, so I try to avoid that. And I really just feel like a stream was a success if I could have like kept the chat engaged at all. I guess it's really easy to like hit the live button and just be a really boring human who's just sitting there playing video games. Like nobody really wants to see you just chilling, sitting on your couch. So any stream I've had where the conversation is flowing and I'm able to keep the chat engaged is an accomplishment for me, especially because, I mean, streaming is like drastically different than what I would normally do, I guess, in real life. It's like I'm not the most outgoing person when it comes to like going up to people and just having conversations with random people. So it's been a good way for me to step outside my comfort zone and engage with people that I might not really know much about and kind of build relationships. So I would say the accomplishment is just being able to make friends through all of this and find small successes along the way with, I guess, the stats and streaming and just keeping the chat alive.
Very fair.
I think that's great, and I definitely 100% agree. Streaming definitely brings you out of your comfort zone. I am a huge introvert by nature. I will sometimes have an extrovert face, but on the inside it is internal panic. You know, like the
Yeah.
SpongeBob cartoon, like where it's running around, it's like fire everywhere. That's usually how it is on the inside, like right before you hit the go live button.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
I feel that.
I 100% agree that it definitely brings you out, which is good because I mean I do IT, so a lot of the times I'm, you know, the only time that I'll have interaction with people is if stuff is broke or if I have to, you know, do face to face with customers and say your stuff is broke, I'm here to fix it. So, so yeah, no, I can definitely understand that. So, you know, with that whole uh, pieces that you guys, you know, talked about, you know, what would you say is or you know or are your influences for either streaming or for life in general, like where you try and, you know, mirror yourself as?
I have to think about this one for a second.
Me
Should have
too.
been more prepared.
So my
Um,
biggest influence is Big Daddy Breezy right there.
Stop it.
with his beard.
Exactly.
I don't know. I think this is gonna sound really corny, but it's I probably my mom and my grandpa are pretty much the like the big influences, or and my uncle, but that's because my uncle trains me in like weightlifting and MMA, and so he trains me to be a hard ass. But in terms of like my personality, it's pretty much my mom and my grandpa. Because my grandpa, so my grandpa's a Navy veteran. He became a physician later on in his life too, and he has ever since I was little, he always told me, he always made sure that I knew that I just because I was a girl didn't mean that I couldn't do everything that the boys did. Um, and that came in terms of whatever of my profession, sports, anything that I wanted to do. And my mom did the same too. So I was pretty much raised by my mom and him. And so they always made sure to hammer it into my head, you know, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do what you want to do, because if you're anything like me, like my mom used to say, if you're anything like me, you're gonna be stubborn as hell and you're gonna want to do it anyway. So if you're gonna do it, then you might as well not listen to anybody else is gonna, you know, try to influence whatever, you know. And I grew up with a lot of people telling me that I couldn't do what I wanted to do. Like I still have people that tell me, you know, I want to become a military physician like my grandfather. He was a trauma surgeon in the Navy after he came back from Vietnam. And he went to the Naval Academy and then went to the Uniformed Services Medical Academy. And he became a trauma surgeon. And so then, you know, he retired. And I remember whenever I was little going to his office to see him. Whenever he was, you know, on in Norfolk. Um, and so, you know, I still have people who tell me, you know, oh, what do you want to do? And I'm like, oh, well, I want to, you know, become a surgeon in the Navy. And they're like, you know, well, you know, women in the military, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I could probably squat you and your mom, but that's fine. So I still have a lot of people who challenge me on that. And they're like, oh, you must be a feminist, which I don't understand why that's supposed to be an insult. But like, yeah, I want to become a military physician. So I'm going to, and, you know. But yeah, it's my mom and my grandpa. They've always told me I can do whatever I want, and I do whatever I want.
And as it should be, there should be no one that that dictates what you want to be. So
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So I guess for me in the streaming world, I hop around and watch a lot of people, from like the really big people that everyone has, this big fan club for, to like somebody who's maybe has like one viewer. Um, and I just think that you can learn a lot from a lot of different people in different ways. Um, in just that, I guess everyone's in their own unique situation. And I grew up in a place where like it was pretty closed-minded. uh, and there just weren't a lot of different perspectives coming in, I guess. And so leaving and going to college and like meeting a whole bunch of new people from all different walks of life. Um, and also on Twitch, you see the exact same thing. There's like everybody is just so different and unique in what they're trying to achieve and what their background is, I guess, that I just grew up being a little bit isolated from. Um, so I think that that is motivation for me, is to, you know, put myself in other people's shoes and learn from other people, so that, you know, I can grow as a person, and just, I guess, see where it takes streaming. But that's really a more outside of streaming thing. Um, is just trying to be more aware of other people's situations, and how you can learn from them. I wouldn't say I have like one major influential person. I think everybody brings something to the table.
no, that's great. That means that, just as you were saying, you're being receptive to, how everyone is, and being able to take those bits and pieces. You're able to mold it into you, and I think that's awesome because, again, like I said, we're always learning, we're always growing, right? So I think that's an amazing, like, both of you guys have, you know good inspirations for what you guys want to do and want to be, and then you're taking it and making sure that it's your own, and that's exactly how it should be, because no one is exactly a carbon copy of each other, right? We all bring different personalities and different things to, like what Jelly was saying, to the table. So I think it's a great outlook for what you guys are talking about. And also a huge shout out to all of our veterans and active duty. Thank you guys very much for your service. And to those that are thinking of enlisting, thank you as well for even just, the thought of wanting to do that. So
Absolutely.
Go Lactate.
yeah.
Nothing me yet. I have to make it through officer training school. So.
Well, I will tell you, officer training school is a little bit different than enlisted.
Mhm.
I did enlisted. They are more focused on, just the basics. Obviously, physical is always going to be the same no matter what, whether it's officer or enlisted. But at least with officer, it's a lot more focused on, you know, the the history, making sure that you're molded into a good leadership role, and then at the same time, making sure that the job that you're going in for is the actual job that you're going in for. So, all right,
Excited. That'll
Breezy.
be next year.
See, there you go. Yeah, you'll have
So.
plenty of time. So, and no stress. It's just got to take it head on. All right, Breezy, what you got?
Okay. This one's for both of you. What has been the most rewarding aspect of streaming to each individually?
I think the
Go,
biggest
Jelly.
thing is making all of the friends and relationships, building relationships that you never really thought that you would ever build in your entire life. I mean, especially like post college, you're in a world where you're like surrounded by all your best friends, and then you like hop into the real world, and you have your job and your coworkers and maybe your significant other, but you don't really like get the opportunity to like go out and meet more people outside of your little bubble. Um, and I didn't really know what to expect because I'm one that's a little like wary when it comes to the internet, you know? It's like, well, I don't know who these people are on the internet.
Right.
But, stepping outside the comfort zone there and like actually realizing that there are a lot of awesome people that you can meet, in this world, has just been really cool, and I didn't really anticipate that. So yeah, that's been.
Yeah, like that's pretty much, aside from everything else that I said earlier with like, helping people get educated on like things that can really, impact their health. Um, I enjoy making friends with, like my mom literally asks about Jelly and Zach all of the time. She acts like they're her kids. She's like, "Y Jelly, ¿cómo está?" And I'm like, bruh.
You're like, thanks,
She
Mom. I'm
asks
doing
more.
fine too.
She asks about Jelly and Zach more often than she asks about my brother, her son, because he lives with my father. She never asked me like, has your brother talked to you or anything? No, she's like, have you talked to Jelly? And I'm like, dude, it's so funny because like they, well, Jelly lives in the same time zone, but Zach does not. But like they still live like hours away, and I'm like, my mom has never met these people in real life, and she's still like, how's Jelly doing?
That's awesome.
She's so sweet.
It's so funny.
But see, that's kind of like what you're talking about, like how just the streaming stuff brings so many different people from so many different areas, like close together. Even though, like what you're saying, like outside of your normal bubble, like it's really cool to see sometimes, and especially as people get closer, and it becomes not just friendships, it develops into family. So it's really great to see. So, as you guys know, like with streaming and then being awesome at the games, like you guys as you guys are, and
Oh well.
you know, sometimes you do get some of the occasional trolls that come in, like to try and be discriminating, like about your gameplay or about the topic that you guys are talking about. How do you keep a good level head, like when that's going on. Um, and how do you handle like someone discriminating you inside of like while you're streaming?
Well, I
Yeah,
don't keep a level head.
you have a much better
Um,
experience that relates to that too.
yeah. So I remember when I first started streaming, there was a group of trolls that came into my chat. We were doing a just chatting stream, and this was purely just chatting. Like I wasn't presenting anything. I was just sitting there. Jelly was in chat and like a few of our other friends. And we had these trolls come into my chat, and I don't even know where they came from. But they said some really ugly stuff. And my way of dealing with trolls is to troll them back. I think it's hilarious because they get really mad whenever they see they can't make me upset. And I think that's hilarious. And so that's what I do with everything. Any time in life that I get trolled, I troll them back. And I know that a lot of people can't do this. But I grew up, with a lot of like I said I come from a military family, so I grew up with this like mindset that I'm like, I'm really disciplined. I know I'm a good person. I know that I do X, Y, and Z for myself or other people. So I have no reason to care about what somebody else is saying. Um, Not to say it doesn't affect people negatively. But in terms of how I handle it, I just troll them back because I think that's hilarious.
It's very fair.
It's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I have been fairly lucky where I haven't really run into anyone being awfully negative. But I really don't have much tolerance, I guess, for that. So if you say like one thing that just makes me uncomfortable or I don't think is appropriate, you're probably just going to get banned off the bat. And then I'm just going to move on with my stream and, as if it never happened. I don't like bring it up or draw attention to it. It's just like, okay, like drop the ban hammer and move on with my life because you're not worth my time if you're going to be saying things that are inappropriate or
Yeah,
hostile.
that's why Jelly's my mod because I can't do that. I have to engage with them and make fun of them, and Jelly doesn't do that. So she will ban them immediately, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Oh, what about your?" And I'm like, just egging
You
them
have
on,
much
and I'm like,
better
"Okay,
comebacks than I do. I'm
I
not a
do. I
very
am.
good comeback person or arguer, so it's better if I just take a step back.
I am. I am very witty, and I'm very. I like to not that I like to argue, but I just think like some people being hateful is so ridiculous to me. And I get that from my grandpa too, because my grandpa used to, whenever he was in the military, whenever he was overseas in Vietnam, there was still like rampant racism after like the integration of the troops. And my grandpa, he looks white, he's Puerto Rican, but he's pale, he's got, blue eyes and stuff. So he just fits in with everybody else. And he tells me stories and from whenever he was in Vietnam where he used to get into fistfights with other sailors because he used to hear them say racist stuff and they would think that he was okay with that because he looked like he was white and they didn't know that he was Puerto Rican and grew up around black and brown people his entire life. And he was like, "Yo, I don't know who you think I am, but I'm the wrong bitch." So he used to get into like actual physical altercations. And my grandpa's like, he was a big dude, like he was like 6'3". And so he used to tell me all these stories, and I'm like, wow, yeah, absolutely. Beat them up. Like
Yeah.
whoop them up, like whoop their ass. And so that's how I obviously can't do that online. So the best thing to do is to troll them. But I know that's not everybody's style, so that's to each their own.
I feel like I'm much more likely to stand up for somebody else than I am to stand up for myself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because like whenever somebody does it to me, I don't really get upset. But if somebody were to say something to somebody else, like this has happened to me in person where I've heard somebody say racial slurs or something, to another person. This has happened to me with my mom in Walmart, where somebody, my mom was on the phone with my grandmother, and my grandmother's, she lives in Mexico. She speaks Spanish and has never been to the United States, but like twice in her life. And this lady walked by and she was like, these people just need to learn to speak Spanish. And I turned around and I grabbed her shoulder and I said, "What you just said to my mama?" And she got so like paralyzed in like fear because I responded to her and I like actually like pulled her shoulder back and I'm like, "What did you just say about my mom?" And she just was like, "I didn't mean it." But to myself, I don't really care. But if it's to other people, you're gonna get.
Yep, and that's how it should be. I mean, that's the protective nature of all of us too. It's you know, I fit perfectly within that. I won't stand up for myself. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, whatever. But like what you said, if it's someone else, then it's like, oh,
Mhm.
well, you about to see the whole side of me now.
You about to get put in the dirt.
Yeah, I might look white, but this Greek and Hawaiian can fight. I'm just saying.
Exactly. I have 1,000 years of suppressed Aztec rage in my veins right now. I will let it out. You will get to meet my ancestors.
You about to meet the real Spartan. That's all I'm saying. We just holding back this 300 right now. All right. All right. Sorry. Just felt the gears just banging. All right. Let's just we just calming it down now. Okay. Oh no. But yeah, no. With that, yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes people just say stuff just to get ruses out of people, or will say
Absolutely.
stuff under their breath. So, that's on them. That's their ignorance. So, I mean, even when I was in the military, I saw a whole bunch of racist stuff too, and that just doesn't fly. I was always raised, you always accept everyone, who they are, not the color of their skin. So,
Mhm.
that's. I mean, everyone should be like that. I don't know why it's, people are, you know, taught differently. It happens though. I mean, but that's
Yeah.
just where that's on the person to be either to learn or to grow. So
That's right. Am I up?
yes, sir. You are teed up and ready.
Okay. This again, it's both of you. What are some of your triumphs and struggles since becoming an affiliate as to now?
This is
I
a
think
really boring answer, but like all of the tech related stuff associated with streaming. I mean, I started on just the PlayStation where it was just, like hit the share button and then hit go live. And then it's like, okay, we're streaming. Yay. And then I added like the PlayStation camera, which is still like very simple. And then we added, a streaming PC. And let me tell you, that was a headache. So I would say just accomplishing that hurdle without really anyone helping because my fiance doesn't know how to do it either. That was a success. Although technical difficulties still happen every single stream. Like when I forgot I was streaming the other day, but it's all right.
Casual just forgets that you're online, that you're live.
It was at the beginning of the customs tournament, and I was trying to figure out the rules of how to do that, and I hit live at the same time. But it was a comical moment. I don't remember the second half of the question, but that was a success for me. As boring as that sounds, it's not easy getting all these million different pieces between the camera and the microphone and Streamlabs and working with Twitch and capture card and all that. It was just like a lot, so I just felt very accomplished after achieving that.
Yeah, I still haven't been able to undergo the PS4 to PC streaming. Mostly because I'm supposed to be moving. I moved back in with my mom during the pandemic because she got laid off, and so I had to come back home and like help her pay some of the bills. So I was like, and everything was online anyway, so I'm like, why am I staying over there and just wasting my money? But because of that, I moved back into my old room, and it's really cramped, and it's just not stream friendly. So I just stream from the PS4 because it's much easier. And I have to, and like obviously I've been saving up money and stuff to move back out and everything, since I had to cancel my lease and stuff. And so it's just that has been a challenge in and of itself, because I'm trying to figure out how to make the stream, how to optimize the stream here. I actually had to get a second router. I had to like actually start a second like internet contract here, because the internet that was already here at my parents' house was not enough for me to continue streaming. And so I was like, okay, well, I have to do that. And I finally did it. My streams are nice and stuff. But at the moment, I only have like my Surface and the PS4 to stream. And so because my Surface is incompatible with everything, I can't use it for the stream. And so I've been waiting until I can find a place in Charlotte where I can move in and be comfortable and like have a nice space set up so that I can stream comfortably and everything. But I mean, triumphs, I don't know, being able to stream in the first place, because like the internet here in the country is just awful. Like it's just not, no.
Yeah, it's never easy. And your guys' being able to stream is a triumph, because so take the professional streamers now. They have a whole team of people that troubleshoot capture cards. Their Xbox PS4s, their PC computers, their streaming computers, their network, their routers, their internet latency. They have a whole team that's doing it. You guys are doing it by yourself. Like that's a huge accomplishment. And
Absolutely.
it's not an easy feat at all. Even someone that works as IT, I still struggle sometimes, with it. So it's huge to see that you guys see the issue that you're running into, and like, oh, well, we could fix this and troubleshoot it and fix it on the fly. Like that to me that's a huge accomplishment that you both I guess I can't think of the word, but be able to push out and say, yep, this is what I did, victory, mine. I took care of it. So that's huge props. That's huge props to you guys.
The whole setup is like my baby now. It's like,
yeah,
absolutely.
I literally have ran out of power outlets in this entire area because of how many wires there are. It's like, I'm sure this is like definitely overloading a circuit, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Circuits can be replaced.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, we miss Circuit City. But anyways, wait, I just realized. Do you guys know what Circuit City is?
Is that like a Radio Shack?
Yeah, think Best Buy, except like the Walmart version.
The Walmart version? Oh, wait. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like a combination
the
of
Walmart version.
Yeah, it was like a combination of Radio Shack had a baby, and then that baby just got lost on the way. Like it was,
and then Walmart found it.
And then Walmart found it. Yeah, it's a trip, that's for sure. But yeah, no. Unfortunately, that Circuit City went out of business a while ago. Thank goodness. But no, like I said, you guys you guys definitely are showing that, with, the right mindset, even the hurdles that you guys come up against, anyone can get through. So kind of segueing into the next question, people that struggle sometimes, like with stream setups, with internet issues, with games not being able to load, what advice can you give to those people that are struggling or might feel defeated, like, oh man, I can't play this game because, my, well, what you were saying, your Surface Pro can't load it, or you can't stream because, the internet's kind of a little bit laggy. Like, what advice would you give them for them to stay motivated and continue to push forward?
I mean, if you really enjoy streaming, I think you should, even if you have to wait for a little bit, because like I said, I had to wait for a little bit until I was able to get my internet installed and everything ready. Because even when I first got my router and everything, I still had to, like, the coast cable was all eaten up, and so I had to get it replaced. And so I had to, I had to have technicians out here several times. And so it was a while before I could continue streaming because I was having internet problems. And even whenever I was still streaming back at my place in Charlotte, I had difficulties with my Surface whenever I was playing, like I said earlier, when I was playing Among Us, because for some reason Among Us just drives my Surface crazy. Um, but whenever I started streaming Among Us and then I realized that Among Us wasn't working, I just turned it into a just chatting stream. So I was kind of winging it at that point. And then like I said, when I came home, I had to wait to have my internet installed and everything for it to be, not awful. Um but yeah, like it takes a little bit more patience, just because, maybe you can't stream, right now or for the next week or for the next 2 weeks or whatever. Um but it'll take you, you can wait out those 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever it might be, until you can get, your setup going and everything. And then it'll be worth it, and it'll be great. Because like I said, I'm still waiting to get my nice setup and everything until I move back to Charlotte. But in the meantime, I'm gonna do what I can do.
Yeah, and I would say, like, don't be afraid to just ask for help. There's
Yeah.
literally a million people. You go into anybody's stream and they have something that you're like, oh wow, that's like really cool. I wish I knew how they did that, or something like that. Like, I've asked plenty of people how they did things in their streams, and they like let me know how it was. And the other side of that is, if you do make it through, like fixing some problems, it's good. It's good content. um, make a video about it. Like, oh, I had XYZ problem and I couldn't find it anywhere. There was no resources that just laid out the whole process from A to B. I had to watch 15 different YouTube videos. It would have been really great if there was just one that I could have referenced to solve this issue. So it's like, you kind of have to see the positive in everything. So be flexible, and yeah, just keep pushing. It's Everything is solvable, I guess.
Yeah, you have to be both patient, and you have to be both patient and flexible whenever you're streaming, because you come across technical difficulties all the time. Like, even I did that whenever I started streaming again. And I was streaming from my Surface and doing like my just chatting presentations, where sometimes the sound was weird, or you would be hearing me twice and stuff, and I couldn't figure it out. But like Jelly said, you have people, even when people would come into the stream, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm hearing doubles. Why don't you check this and check that?" There's always people that are willing to help you. You just need to be a little bit flexible, a little bit patient, because some of these things take time. And just because something, you have a technical difficulty here and there, doesn't mean that you can't make quality content. So you just have to keep the faith.
No,
It's hard to keep the faith sometimes, but keep
It
the
is,
faith.
yeah.
Very fair.
It is, but you can keep it. I promise. It'll
Yeah.
be worth it.
yeah. There's been many times when even hours of research can't find anything, and then you stumble across someone's made video on YouTube. It's like, oh yeah, this is what fixed it, and you try it and it fixes it. So yeah, there's, like you said, if it's not out there, you can make a video and help others that just didn't know. So, and again, that's what the whole streaming community is about, is, being there for each other, helping each other out, and like what LK was saying, like people that come in the chat sometimes help out. Like I know when I started, I was getting a lot of frame drop issues, and people in chat were saying, like what she said, check these settings, try this out, try, doing different things. And that's what, again, that's how I learned, that's how I grew. And that's how the community grows together, is being able to say, hey, we did it, not I, we, so.
Mhm.
And then plus it's also a victory when you do it too, and you're like, check this out, bam, video.
Exactly. I know Jelly made a whole video like doing the capture card thing, which is really helpful because I'm going to need that whenever I move, because I am, like I said, I have not a single artistic bone in my body. I'm a boomer when it comes to technology. I can't do any, if it doesn't involve biology or like weightlifting, I don't know. Like I'm not going to figure it out.
Yeah, I did. I made a YouTube video after all of my capture card struggles because I was like, why is there not just a diagram of this? Like, if I just had a diagram to reference where all the wires get plugged in, this would be way easier.
Yeah,
Instead,
and
like, Elgato gives you like 15 different 3-minute videos to watch, and none of them none of them answer any of your questions.
This isn't even the model I ordered. Why are you sending
Yeah.
me tentacle arms and a spaghetti noodle? Like I don't understand.
but yeah, so it just be just be patient. Patience is a virtue. It'll work out.
And then other times you just want to flip that desk.
For real.
True.
Yep.
All right, Breezy, what you got? I could feel it. I could feel
Okay.
your wheels turning.
Oh, is that right? How do
You
you
can hear the
both
gears
involve?
grinding.
What's that? Sorry.
I said you can hear the gears grinding.
um, how do you both involve your communities?
I think I mostly do it through the Discord because I mean the Discord is pretty inactive right now, but I used it more so whenever I was still like during the semester when I was doing my presentations. I obviously like to do presentations on things that I find interesting, but also I like to do, presentations on people on things that other people are interested in. So like for example, I had a friend who, I last semester I took a class on drug mechanisms, both molecular and cellular drug mechanisms. And we do a lot of immunology in that class. And so one of my friends was like, um you're taking this class with Dr. Valeri, my professor, he's a PhD in virology, so he studies viruses, and right now he's studying how to treat cancer with viruses. So he's very well versed. He teaches us, super important things about viruses, and it's especially important with now with the pandemic. And so I had a friend who was like, you're really well versed on how like vaccines work because you've been studying under Dr. Valeri for a while now because I've taken 3 classes with him. And he was like, I would like to know what the difference is between the 3 different COVID vaccines that we have available here in America because I want to know which one is better for me to get. And so I was like, okay, I can do that. It's pretty simple. It takes a couple of hours of research, especially with, how widely available the research on, the drugs that are undergoing clinical trials and stuff like that is published and stuff. And so I was like, yeah, absolutely, I can do that. And so that was one of the ways that I was like, maybe I should start asking people what they also want to learn about because if it helps, we always tell each other this in class, and I tell this to my own students. If you have a question, you're more than likely somebody else has that same question. And so I remember whenever I did the stream on the COVID vaccines, one of my friends was like, "Well, which one should I get?" And I'm like, and so I explained the differences between them and which one would benefit you if you check X, Y, and Z criteria, and et cetera, et cetera. And so I think it's important for me to involve my community that way because that way I'm also, helping educate people on things that they need to know, and that they know, or I should say that they know that they should know and need to know, but don't really know how to. Not everybody knows how to do, not everybody knows how to go onto Google Scholar and be like, well, what's the difference between the RNA mechanism and so but I do because I'm a third year biology student and I've taken like 4 research classes at this point. And so, they don't know how to do it. They don't know what keywords to use, what search engines to use. I have them all available at my fingertips. And so why not, ask them what they want to know and what questions do you have about this and how can I help you answer these?
I think for me, it's just, I guess once I get to know the people who come into the chat, they've been sticking around for a while. I just like to run games with different people. I would say my personal Discord isn't very active, but I'm hopping around in other people's Discords and like building connection through theirs. And just it's really fun to like just change up who you're playing with, and I've been trying to play different games as well to keep things a little bit a little bit more interesting. Um, Recently started playing Sea of Thieves, which I feel like could be a really good game for just working with people. So if I could get like, people who come into the stream to play Sea of Thieves, that would be, I think, a really fun game outside of like a first person shooter. Because you have to be pretty cooperative when it comes to that. So it's really just involvement in that regard. I've also considered, setting up a schedule for that sort of thing where it's like a dedicated day for like playing with viewers. I don't really like to call them viewers though, because they're like, at this point, they're like friends. I don't want to like put this like label on people to make them feel inferior, but uh, um, I guess I'm not at a point where I consider people viewers, but um, that or I have like the gambling in chat. I just try to keep things like as interesting as possible so that if I can't exactly focus on that at that moment in time, there's at least other options, whether they're playing games or keeping themselves entertained within the chat. So that's pretty much it
I
for
need to
me.
get Sea of Thieves because it looks so fun. But
Honestly,
it's only
I
on Xbox and PC, right? Like I can't get
yeah.
it on PS4. Damn it. Like I'm messing with my lamp now. But it looks so fun. And you're right, I had so much fun watching you play. And I was like, man, I wish I could get this lamp to stay. But I was like, I wish I could play with Jelly, but I don't have a PC and I have PS4. Like I don't use my Xbox anymore. And
Yeah,
so I'm like, I can't, but it looks so fun.
it
How many
does.
people can
It
you play it
is.
with?
So there's like different size boats that you can do. So it's like 1 to 2 people, like 2 to 4 people, and then I think like maybe up to 6. But you like actually have to work with people. It's like, all right, you got the sails, you got the steering wheel, like all that
You
stuff.
could
It's
tell
like
me about
actually
that.
really cool. And I didn't realize that, but like if you're playing by yourself, like you're probably gonna crash because you need somebody else to be helping you out, steer the boat.
Yeah, nah,
So
running into rocks are fine. They're just speed
it's
bumps
fine.
of the ocean,
Yeah,
Crashing
exactly.
ashore.
Yep.
Like, well, I guess we're gonna loot this island now.
And park perfectly.
Yeah. So that's been a lot of fun. Also, the first game that I've streamed like from the computer, which was different. I probably still have to figure that out. It crashed a couple times, but um, pretty, it's pretty low graphics. I guess it's just a cartoon, so we can handle it for now.
Yeah, but that's always the fun part, though, is finding like the different games that you can play, like with your community or with other streamers and stuff too, and just making it just a relaxed night. Because sometimes like some people are stuck to only one game, like for example, like Warzone or Rainbow Six Siege or CS:GO. Like that's their only game focus, and sometimes taking a break from those games and involving like your community is kind of nice. It's kind of relaxing. You're just like, oh, this wait, nah, get this out of here. Like you're able to
Yeah,
just kind of just relax and just be you, just have fun. Like that's kind of the enjoyable things of it. So
I can definitely be guilty of that at times with Warzone sucking me in.
oh yeah. So before we go to a quick 5-minute intermission, so you guys can grab some drinks and kind of stretch your legs a little bit, there's some questions from chat that I'd like to ask you both. Um, so this one's from GeoWise. He asks what's the highest KD game that you've had in Warzone or any FPS shooter games that you guys played?
So my kill record in Warzone is 16. Although it could have been higher. However, I tried to assassinate somebody once. And it didn't work.
I remember that
I
game.
was playing with you, yeah. The assassination didn't work, and then as I was trying to recover from that, we got third partied and I got killed. So I was about to break the 16 kill record, and then I made a lethal mistake.
It was really funny too, because I could, like, in my head, I was spectating you, and I had like this, like, I had like theme music playing in my brain, and I was like, "Yeah, Jelly, you got this." And then I knew she was gonna go for the assassination, and you just hear like the, like the
just the
the
melee
play break. I was like, "Oh no!"
Yeah,
And then the person just turns around, and I'm like, "Oh, that's it."
Player 2 has entered the game. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. My kill record is 9, I think, on Warzone, which is actually really good because I have a 0.41 KD. So sharp 0.41.
Hey, I'm repping a big 0.71, so thank you.
I like have been probably beginning of this year. For some reason, I was just super motivated to get my KD at least above 1 and hopefully higher than my fiance's. He's like a 1.28. Then right now I'm around a 1.22, so I'm getting there. But I will tell you that the progress has slowed. Once you have like somewhere around 10,000 kills, like it really doesn't move that quickly. So it's a little bit of a challenge.
I'm sorry, you said 10,000?
Yeah, I think I have like 9,000 something.
Sweet. I just broke 100. Oh, this is going to be a long game.
The good news is you can make progress very quickly.
Deaths seem to keep going up very quickly. Yes, that is correct.
You can only get 2 a game. 2 deaths a game.
Yeah.
Unless you get bought back.
Yeah. What about you, Breezy? What is your highest KD?
Big map is 19.
Nice.
Rebirth is 24.
Ooh.
Oh, we're counting Rebirth? Yo, I don't even know what my
I
highest
just
score
had
is
it
on
yesterday.
Rebirth.
That's the only reason why I remember it.
We're talking about Rebirth. It's
and
relevant.
then
I love
yeah,
Rebirth. Rebirth is fun.
it is fun. And I think my KD is around 1.82 right now.
God.
Damn.
You guys are smashing it, and I just keep smashing the keyboard and nothing happens. Great.
Exactly. I'm like, when do I actually get good at this game?
When does the game just not hate me?
Yeah,
I was, like,
exactly.
studying YouTube videos for a while there to try to like learn how to be better at Warzone, like, you know, Iceman Isaac, and I mean, I was watching like Nick Merck's videos, but he's kind of a little bit of a troll, so I was trying to watch things a little more seriously and
Did he just
take
jump
notes
off?
on how they do it.
Did Nick Merckx just jump off the roof onto a trailer, spin around, and clap a guy in the knees? Okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm not doing
Clap
that.
the guy. Yeah, it's you know what's really funny though is I like watching people who are in the position that I used to be in like a few months ago. Like I have a friend who, and this is even funnier because he's an actual Marine. And so he's playing as a Marine on Warzone too. And I remember he texted me the other day and he was playing by himself and he was like, yeah, I got sent to the gulag. He's like, I murdered 3 people before I got killed. He's like, well, I guess 4 if you count the guy in the gulag. And I was like, oh, nice. And he was like, yeah. He's like, I dove for his feet and meleeed his shins, just like they teach us in the Marines. And I was like, oh, I'm very proud of you, Peter.
I was a Warzone player like you once, till I took a beating to the knees. Breezy, do you want to take Moose's question?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any pre-stream rituals?
I look in the mirror and I'm like, you're a bad bitch. You can't kill me. And that's it.
Right to the point.
Right to the point. Because I have to hype myself up before I stream because I get really nervous. Like, just like X said earlier, he gets really nervous and I'm like, me too. So I have to look in the mirror and I'm like, you can do this. You can do this. You're good.
I just like grab a glass of water, and then, you know, that's about it. No, I don't. I'm usually like pressed for time every day where it's like, work finished, then I got to eat dinner and like figure out a million other things, but I really want to stream. So like, I just got to do everything as fast as I can. So I just grab a glass of water and like hit live and I'm like, okay, we're doing
it's
it.
super stressful.
Yeah.
What about you?
It's been hard lately with life getting in the way of the streaming schedule. I used to do it like 2 to 3 times a week, and now I'm like 1, 2 at most because summertime's just way busier with things going on outside of the 9 to 5. So
Absolutely.
How dare you life take away from streaming?
it's kind
For
of
real.
frustrating though. It's like they're fun things, but I want to do these other fun things too. I need more time for fun things.
See, that's when you just take LK's biology and you just clone yourself and split into 2. And the other one can do the other stuff that you don't want to do. See, boom, easy peasy. What
Could
about
you just send me
Figure that
a sample of your hair jelly, and I will do my best in the lab.
Yes, excellent.
what about you, Breezy? What's one of your pre-stream rituals?
My pre-stream ritual, honestly, is I usually fill up this giant water jug that I continuously keep drinking from here, and sit down. And right before I press live, I always listen to some kind of song on Spotify off stream, and then usually just start it and have the starting soon screen up for a couple minutes before I'll actually have my camera turned on and just kind of talk myself into it, I guess.
Hey, sometimes it's the simplest things that do it. Sometimes you just gotta just splash some water in your face. I just cry just a little bit right before. Good to go. No, but it's no, it's awesome because it's kind of cool to see like the different styles of like prepping yourself before you go live, because something that might help someone else get ready to stream might be something that helps you be able to stream too. So I'm gonna try that mirror thing. Mirror's not gonna know what hit it.
I
Exactly.
feel like listening to an energetic song is a good idea. I might try that.
Yeah, because I get really anxious, and so I have a lot of adrenaline pumping, and it's kind of like whenever I go to the gym. I do the same thing when I go to the gym because I get really anxious at the gym as well, just because people.
Yeah.
And because for some reason people
People.
at the gym won't leave me alone. So, but I get really anxious, and so whenever I get anxious, I have a lot of adrenaline rushing through my veins, and so I'm like, okay, I need to like let this out. So I'll like flex in my mirror, and I'm like, you got this, let's go, on leg day. And then I'm like, okay, much better. I have let out some of that energy.
It's always a leg day that you gotta pump yourself up for. You're like, come on, calves, you got this.
Oh wait.
You can do these 3 sets, I promise you.
Really, yeah, it's like 3 sets of 6, but like it's a 200-pound deadlift. I'm like, I might go see Jesus today, so I have to wake myself up.
What she fails to mention is that she's doing the deadlifts one-legged, so got you. Okay. Yes, I mean sometimes you gotta mix it up though. Gotta throw your body off its kilter. All right, let's see. So this next question is from Scooby. What would a good tool or suggestion to use on a stream for a countdown timer? Like, what would you guys suggest?
That's all jelly. I have no idea how to do overlays or nothing.
A countdown timer. I've actually never used a countdown timer in my stream. However, if I were to need to use a countdown timer, I would probably Google it.
So
Jelly said Google is free.
yeah. So some suggestions that
I have no idea.
Yeah, that I could say is Windows has a native timer that can write to a file. That all you would do is just select it as a media source, and it would just display the timer, and you would just have to start it on your Windows actual countdown, and it'll display. Streamlabs and OBS also have built-in scripts that you could use that write to a file to start your countdown timer. If you have a Stream Deck, you could also set it to a hotkey to where you press it and it'll automatically display. The third and final piece that I could suggest is there are third parties that actually offer software plugins for Streamlabs and OBS that can give you like different fonts, different displays for countdown timers that you can add as well. I usually try and do the first two, just because, again, as IT, I don't really trust other people's programming. I mean, some people write code, that's usually not malicious. Other times, there's times where people will make a program and it'll be malicious on the back end. So usually that's the easiest way to do it. It's just the native windows and then the built-in ones with Streamlabs and OBS.
Glad you knew the answer.
I'm just here just to press buttons. That's all I do.
I was like, if I really thought about it, I guess you could go online and find a timer there, and then do like a browser source, and then crop the source.
Yep, that's
you could
correct.
possibly do it that way.
Yeah,
that's probably the only way I would know.
Yeah, no, that's still a very viable and good choice. Because like we said too, even when you Google it for cooldown timers for timers, sorry, I have games on the brain. I'm like, oh my god, my cooldowns are going. But yeah, no, doing it that way just as a plugin source is a great advice as well. So the last question that we have, Breezy, do you want to ask that, or would you like me to?
Which one was it? Because I think we kind of went off with where they were posted.
So this one is in the Twitter message from Nira. This is from.
Okay, you go ahead. You ask.
Okay, so this one's kind of an odd question because I mean we all have our personal thoughts on this particular type of streaming, and I don't know if either of you are familiar with a lot of the trends that are going on now involving pools, which I don't understand it. So, but one of the viewers asked what your thoughts were on it. And Breezy, I'm going to start with you first.
Are you going to start with me first?
Yes, sir.
He's like, I think it's great. Honestly, I wake up each morning and.
Oh, you're killing me. Okay. I would never shame anybody for doing anything that they wanted to do on their own personal stream. However, monetizing based on being in that certain situation, whether it be in a hot tub or a pool stream, I'm trying to think if I word this properly. Personally, I don't like it. However, I say that because I can't do it. Whereas if it was the other way around, if I could do it, and I know that might sound bad, but if I was able to do it and monetize it and everything else, I might think differently of it.
Look, there is a market for everything.
It's
okay,
very
listen.
true. That's very
I'm gonna tell you
true.
something, because a lot of people are like, well, I don't agree with it because I don't like people. Whatever. You can do anything that there is a consumer base. Let me tell you something. When I lost my job at the beginning of the pandemic, I needed to find a job to do. But what happened was my roommate at the time got COVID. And so we were quarantined for the entire month and a half that he was sick. And so I was like, I need to pay bills. And then my mom had just got laid off. And so I was like, I need money to send to my mom and also to pay my bills. Well, I found out there are men on the internet who like when a pretty young girl yells at them over the phone for money. It's called financial over the phone dominatrix. All you have to do is get on the phone with them. They'll see your picture on your profile. They message you about your rates or whatever. I would charge these men $75 for 15 minutes
Oh
to
my
just
goodness.
tell them that their mom doesn't love them. That's it. That's all they want. Okay. And I needed to get my bills paid. So I
It's
didn't
very
care.
fair.
You want me to tell you that you are shaped like a pickle jar, and that I would never touch you with a 10-foot. That's perfect. That's absolutely fine. I'm out here being mean to these boys on COD for free. They are getting a $75 service and they don't even know this.
Yep.
So if you would like to monetize, look, it doesn't matter what you look like. There is a market for everything. Breezy, I want to tell you this.
Oh
right
no,
now.
I know, but it's bad because
But
I always go back to like the highest end of it. So like I'm not gonna say the name of the streamer, although I'm sure everybody knows who the streamer is we're talking about, or even how it started like that. It's just I think it's because of how intense how much is she actually can make or she makes off of it. You know what I mean? Like it's just I don't want to say absurd because like good for her for being able to do it. And I feel like it's more I'm more salty about the fact that I can't. Like not that I can't do it, but that I choose not to do it. That's what I mean.
I feel that. Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
that's also a thing. Like if you can't, because I know I wouldn't be comfortable doing that.
Exactly.
Because I'm just not comfortable. I don't even like to go to the beach in a bathing suit, so I can do the hot tub thing. But I'm like, you know what? Good for them because
Yeah.
there's a market for it, and I'm like, if there are people willing to consume that, then that's. The reason that I have a problem with people like bashing on these girls is because they want to bash them because they're making money off of
Mhm.
being able to like you should be mad at the dudes that are sitting there paying them money because
Very
like
fair.
they are the ones who are providing the market for this.
Mhm.
So why are you mad at the girl when she's just taking advantage of being able to pay her bills through these dudes that's just thirsty on the internet?
Yep.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just comes from jealousy, honestly. Is like
Right,
these
yeah.
people have the confidence to put themselves out there and capitalize on what obviously exists as a thriving little niche in the internet.
Exactly. I'm like,
It's
look,
just like people with OnlyFans. It's like,
yeah, and
Yep.
it's okay. It's okay to be, a little bit jealous. I am too. Like, I wish I wasn't, built like a fucking Buick so I could be out there, doing whatever. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So, but I'm not I'm not sitting here bashing on the girls because I'm
Mhm.
like, good for you. You're beautiful. You look good. Like, yes, girl, get your money.
Mhm.
yeah, I
Absolutely.
think the only argument I've seen that's pretty valid is just anyone really can get onto Twitch. And so if
Yeah.
there's like a lot of really young people
Yeah.
like kids like getting into that category by accident, it just could be not so great from that side of things. So kind of
Mhm.
having that as like maybe like Twitch is not the proper platform. Like
That's
it's
fair.
fine if you want to
Yeah.
do that, that's fine. But like try to make it, I suppose it's like rated R.
Yeah,
Right.
somewhere where like a mature content filter would be a little bit harder to get to, as
Yeah.
opposed to on Twitch where you just have to put your date of birth down.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
kind of like YouTube, where you actually have to sign in with a
Yep.
valid account says you are over 18. Because I think the mature filters on Twitch are just kind of like, hey, this viewer, like I have the mature filter on mine because I swear a lot and I say a lot of crazy shit.
Mhm.
But if you go on my stream and it's like, hey, this streamer has rated their content mature, and you're like, yep, that's fine, and
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's it.
you're good.
Yeah.
So I do think, yeah, I do think I can see how that would be an issue. But I think Twitch could very easily correct that.
Mhm.
Um, they're just stupid. So
Yep. No, so I think so where I fall in line is exactly like what Jelly was saying that uh, the ease of access to it in terms of the age. So that's like my biggest issue. Like Twitch was built for gaming. Like it could be a totally separate platform that could host stuff like that. So
And
yeah.
Twitch could make it a totally separate platform.
Oh
They
yeah,
have the
easily.
resources to do it. So
yeah,
Absolutely.
You hear that, Twitch? You're having your own merger with another company that does something similar.
yeah. So yeah, I think that does make sense. Just I think a lot of the things, most of what I saw online was not, the concern was not about the ease of being able to access this content. It was more so about just really like abusive and misogynistic attacks
Yeah.
on the girls that were doing it. That's what I was seeing mostly on like Twitter and stuff. And I was like, that's not cool, my man."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I got my hot tub time behind me right now. I mean, but you know, but no. In all seriousness, like I said, like where, like what you were saying, that's good on them that they're able to do that, because that's, we shouldn't limit what people want to do, but ensuring
Right.
that it's on the correct platform as well. So I think that's, taking what all three of you said and putting it into context for everyone. I think that's where it should be. No one should
Yep.
ever spew hate on
No.
anyone, no matter what it is, whether they agree with it or not. That's just, you just become the vile side of what we all try to stay away from. So, why put yourself in that category, to bash on someone else when, you could be on the positive and say, okay, well, this dude's in a hot tub, like, that's good on him. That's body positivity. That's great for him. Or likewise, if it's a female, great for them. That's body positivity. We're supporting them. But spewing the hatred, I don't think that should be, yeah, on to anyone, no matter what it is. So no,
Yeah.
this is this is good stuff, guys. And like I said, I appreciate you guys being open and candid about it. And um, this is, like I said, this is good good talking points on all we did for our first half. So I'll let you guys. We're gonna take a quick 5-minute break. And again, if anyone in chat has any more questions for any of our guests or hosts, feel free to put it in. Um, But for right now, I'll go ahead and I'll switch it to the intermission screen so you guys can, like I said, get a drink of water, grab some stuff if you want to. The audio will be open so that way chat can hear you guys. And then when you guys are back, I'll switch it back to the screen. So all right, guys, we'll see you in about 5 minutes.
I have literally no idea how to work my own camera.
I don't either. I just open it and pray sometimes.
Mhm.
Just turn it on and off a bunch of times, and eventually it does what I ask.
You know, sometimes the best IT solution is have you turn it on and off again. It usually works out. It's like 60% of the time. I think we're just waiting for LK to come back before we start our next piece.
I'm here. I just need to put my braces back in.
Oh no, you're good.
Jelly, my mom says hi, by the way.
What's up, Mama Kel?
I told her, I was like, I'm doing a podcast with Jelly. And she came home. She went to pick up my brother, and she came home. She's like, I brought you nachos. Are you still talking to Jelly? I was like, yeah. She's like, tell her I say hi. Alrighty.
All right, we're gonna flip over to the other screen now. So again, I want to thank all three of you. You guys kicked ass in that first half. And Breezy with me calling on you at random. I appreciate it.
How do you feel about hot tubs?
I mean, I don't look good in a hot tub. I mean, the hot tub, you know, it's water, so I get to lay in the hot tub where no one can see me. So, you know, it's perfect, you know. I mean, you get to blend in. Throw a little palm tree right behind me, so, you know, it goes right back to my Hawaiian roots. You know, feel like I'm on an ocean, you know, good to go. Hot tubs are
That's where I
usually
need to get stationed.
Yeah, right.
I need to get stationed in Hawaii.
Yeah, I have a bunch of family that lives on Maui, so
Oh,
yeah,
that must be so nice.
they're on a perma vacation. Well, so I guess I mean, it's kind of like anywhere that you live, right? It's what you make of it. Some people, you know, get tired of
Right.
you know living on the beach. Some people get tired of living in the country. I personally like the country and the beach at the same time. So if I could have both, that would be great.
Absolutely.
I do. Yeah, I like the country too. I like coming home, to visit my hometown. The only thing I don't like about the country is the pollen. That pollen, the pollen is killing bitches out here.
Oh yeah. So I never really was introduced to a whole lot of pollen where I grew up. I was mostly lived in the desert until I was stationed in Germany, and then I had my first real experience of seasons.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you know California only had you know fires, floods, earthquakes, sometimes winter, but mostly fires. So you know.
Yeah.
So then when I went to Germany, you know, seeing my car covered in pollen, I was like, "What is this?" I was like, I bought a
Yeah.
white car. Why is it yellow? I don't understand."
Yeah. That's how it is basically here every day. Like if I leave and I get in my car to go to the gym and I have my windows rolled down, I can't breathe for the rest of the day.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I went to do some work in North Carolina. Um, so I was reintroduced to the lovely thing called humidity.
Oh, it's awful here.
Oh no, it's awesome, and by awesome I mean it's terrible. I walked outside, my shirt is soaked. I was like, well, this is cool. This
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
It's like they always make it a meme where it's like it's not the heat that gets you, it's the humidity. But it is. It is the
It is,
humidity that
yeah.
gets you.
Oh, it's only 76
Although low
degrees outside.
humidity heat feels is weird. I just experienced that for the first time last year. You're like out there, it's like 100 something degrees, and you can just feel your sweat evaporate immediately, sort of.
Yeah.
It's a very bizarre thing compared to what I'm used to, where it's just like not, it's like the air can't hold any more water.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
You're like, my body needs this to cool. Please stay.
Yeah.
exactly.
So we covered a lot of topics in that first half. And again, I want to thank all you guys for being so open and you know just being your guys' you know selves when you answered, because it's really cool. Because sometimes you know when people get to you know to talking about a certain subject, sometimes you know we will, like for me personally, like we'll have a tendency to like shy away from our real answer, you know, to appease the crowd. But it's nice to hear you know your guys' actual like true answer and how you feel on certain things, because again, it helps, all of us, one, get to know you guys more, and then two, like, where we might not see an opinion on one side, when you guys are honest, now we can see, like, oh yeah, okay, you know what, that makes more sense. um, Especially when it comes to streaming and, like, the frustrations on stuff. Some people might want to give up, whereas, like, you could say if you just stick through it, it gets kind of better too, and it kind of helps people, like, open up, like, that mindset of, oh, okay, this isn't bad. Like, yeah, it kind of sucks for this little bit, but here's some stuff that I could do, and it makes it all better. So I think that's great. Um, so with uh, having an open mind, and teaching some people about stuff that they might not know. LK, this one's for you. What ways do you uplift you know females in your community and streamers, and then also like the LGBTQ streamers as well?
Yeah, so I a lot of people think that this is kind of like trying to fill a quota, but I don't really think of it as that way, but I try to expose myself and expose other people to other queer and female streamers and gamers because being a female, a queer female streamer myself, I find that we are in a very male dominated field, especially with like gaming. And this applies to like STEM as well. Like me, I know me and Jelly are both in the STEM field. So not only in streaming and gaming, but also like in real life, we're in very male dominated fields and very um and like in STEM, queer people are even less represented. So I try to shed light on a lot of queer streamers and like other, female streamers, streamers of color. Um and try to introduce my community to other people like them. That's why I have my Discord, and I try to encourage a lot of people to join my Discord because I have a lot of my friends from college and friends from other forums that I'm involved in, where they can get to meet people like that. Because I feel like a lot of the discrimination that comes my way comes from people who are just uneducated and just aren't exposed to people like me. Um, that's why we have the whole pride movement, because people think that I think people have this false notion of pride just being like an excuse for us to shove our sexuality in people's face. But the reason that we have pride actually is more of a protest, and it's in remembrance of the Stonewall riots. Which the Stonewall riots, if anybody wants to, do any research on this, it's actually very interesting. But the Stonewall riots were a series of riots that were started. It was actually started by a Black trans woman, um, that that eventually opened up the pathway for us to achieve a lot of civil rights milestones in the LGBT community. And so that's what pride is for, and that's what it's about. It's about remembering people who came before us and people who are still fighting for our rights. Um like for example, I read this the other day and I kind of got a little bit emotional because probably because I like this has been a dream of mine to join the military, but I thought that Don't Ask, Don't Tell was something that was like from the 1980s. Like I thought some that was like ages ago. And I read the other day that it wasn't until 2011 that it was actually repealed. Like they actually wrote the legislation in December 2010 and like, submitted it for, approval. And I actually read a part of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell doctrine, um, where it basically said explicitly that you could get adcept for homosexual or bisexual behavior. Um, and I think the reason that made me upset was, like I said, because of my involvement in, the like I grew up in a military family. I've always wanted to join the military. I've always wanted to join the Navy. I've always had that aspiration. And so to know that I had that there was people who like 10 years ago couldn't be out and, proud of who they are, or just love who they wanted to love in the military, was really upsetting. And so I think that that's the important thing when it comes to trying to uplift streamers, is not because, I think everybody should have a gay friend or anything, but I think that it helps educate people, and it helps people open their eyes to um, educate themselves on who we are, and not just maintain that uneducated vision of, well, we're just trying to convert everybody, like we're, they act like we're army recruiters trying to recruit people into the alphabet army, and I'm like, that's not how this works. Like, we don't we just want to be able to have decent human rights. So
Yeah.
but that's what I try to do, is I try to expose people to people like that, because, and I try to like, expose myself to other people who might not be, familiar with a person who is gay, or who is bisexual or something like that. And try to teach them about, like I said, the Stonewall riots, because people think that pride is just, just a reason to go out and wear a rainbow shirt, and it's not. It's in remembrance of something. It's in protest of something.
Yeah, I think it's great that you bring awareness to that too. And so, what do you find is your best avenue to help people? Is it kind of like through Twitter, or I know you're saying your Discord
Mhm.
as well. So do you find that like Twitter and Discord are like the good safe places for anyone that might be um, to be able to join your community that way?
Yeah, I think Twitter is the easiest place. Twitter and Twitch are like the easiest places to reach out. I've met a lot of like other really cool queer streamers through Twitter. And then as well through Twitch, like, just browsing and trying to find other people who are more so like in the same category of like streaming, like whatever it is, like the games that they were streaming, and then trying to find other people who were like myself, other queer streamers and other female streamers, and then trying to engage with them and trying to tell them, hey, so um I have, this Discord, if you want to join and stuff. We're queer friendly, we are gamer girl friendly, and I always trying to invite people and make sure that they understand that my community is a safe community for them. Um, because there's not a lot of communities that are very accepting and very, um, it gets exhausting. It does get tiring to have to deal with a lot of the homophobia and a lot of the sexism and misogynism that we you know hear and that we see and experience in like gaming and like in our chat and stuff like that, and just on social media in general. And so that's kind of what I want my Discord to be, where I'm like, you can come here and you can be happy, and if anybody's being a dickhead to you, I will remove them immediately, because I'm not going to have that in my Discord. So
Y-
that's kind of what I try to do with my Discord and Twitter and stuff.
No, I think that's great. I mean, oh, go ahead, Jelly.
If
I'm
I could,
sorry.
yeah. I guess just to emphasize that, if you're ever like scrolling on TikTok or whatever social media, and it's a clip by a female, something very eye-opening will be just going in and looking at the comments and seeing how many people say something sexist in the comments. Basically dumping on them because they're a female playing a first-person shooter video game. It's literally every single one. Every one you'll come across it probably has more of those comments than any positive comments, unless they deleted them. So it's like that with any male dominated thing. It's like that in sports.
Yeah.
Golf, and it's like men see me on the golf course, it's like voodoo. And like every single time I go golfing, there is without fail like some old guy who's like, "Oh, easy on those guys," as if because everybody just expects me to be absolute trash at the game. And in reality, I'm probably better than the people that I'm playing with, who happen to be men. So it's like
Yeah.
it's just they're so like tunnel vision, I guess. They only know like one stereotype about whatever it may be, whether it be video games or sports or whatever, or what's mainstream with like pride related things, and they
Yeah.
just have no idea. And so it's just like it's
Yeah, like
important to just
I mean, I've seen comments in Jelly's TikToks where she'll post a clip and it'll like go semi-viral or go viral, and there's a bunch of these little incels that are like in her comments and saying sexist and misogynistic stuff. And then even on like Twitter, when so Apex added a pride badge that you can put on your little player card, and there were so many like homophobic little dudes in the comments. They're like, well, guess it's time to stop playing Apex. Please do, because we don't want you in Apex anyway. But it's so normalized, and I'm like, this is so disgusting. And that's also why there's so little females in gaming. There's so little, queer people and people of color in gaming, because there's so much racism and sexism and homophobia that is completely normalized in like Call of Duty is a cesspool for that type of stuff.
it's just
And
COD culture.
it's just COD culture. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna let somebody call me the N-word in a dishwasher in a COD
Yeah.
lobby. I'm gonna destroy you and your mom. And so it's just like the other thing too that I think people can start doing is calling out your little shitty friends that do stuff like that, because that has real impact on other people. The Pulse shooting just happened 5 years ago. 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Like, this is still an ongoing thing. Like, there is still such blatant hate that you're encouraging. And even if it doesn't matter if it's online, because people, you never know who is listening. And by who is listening, I mean two different types of people. You never know who's listening to what you're saying. It might be some crazy asshole that gets inspired by what you're saying. And on the other hand, it might be somebody that you really care about, who might not be out to you, who you don't know, that you're saying hurtful things, and they're listening to you. And this is especially true on COD, because you don't know what the other person looks like. The main distinction that you can make on COD, if it's a male or female, but you don't know if that person is gay, you don't know if that person is trans, you don't know if that person is black or colored or anything. So you could be saying really hateful stuff on Call of Duty and be hurting people that you consider your friends online, and you don't even realize it. And so that's the first thing that you should do, is that if you're in a position where you can call somebody out, because it's going to resonate more with them if it's one of their friends versus if it's like me or Jelly or some stranger on the other team. So I have friends who've done that in real life, people who have said like homophobic slurs in front of me, and then they don't know that I'm bisexual. And my friend I've had friends who will be like, dude, that's not cool, you don't need to say that. I'm not going to let you say that in front of everybody else. It's something so simple as, bro, that's not cool. Like right there, you have made an enormous difference, because you have humiliated that person into thinking that they're an asshole. And that makes a huge impact.
I call out my own parents.
Me too.
Yeah, and a lot of the times it's people that are taught, to hate or discriminate against. And so,
Yeah.
like we said before, it's the other person's willingness to accept and learn on their own, and not just use what they were taught to. So, it's, and I 100% agree that, people throwing out the racial slurs just because, oh, my buddy does it, it's cool. It has an effect on people, 100%. And as you said, like the COD community is by far one of the worst at it. Which, I mean, that's nothing that should be happening. I mean, even when you have little kids saying stuff that they shouldn't be saying, it's like, okay, well, where are you learning it from? Like, obviously, it's not
Right.
you know,
I think I called out like a middle schooler the other day on God.
Yeah, because like it's just they're you not only are they teaching like you have these young kids on these games that are super impressionable and you're teaching them all these things that and will get them in trouble because like let's say you run into for example the Walmart incident, let's say if you run into somebody like me who has a temper or worse somebody who has a temper who has a gun, you can get hurt like in real like yeah this is Call of Duty and stuff, but wait until you run into somebody in real life that will check you and put you on a shirt, like then it's going to be a real problem.
yeah. And it's crazy because a lot of people don't think before they say stuff too, and so like what you're just saying, just put them on a shirt where they become pretty much the meme of, this is what you're not supposed to do.
Yep.
Like people just don't
Yep.
think of what they're saying and how it affects everyone. So it's
Right.
it's kind of sad to see, because especially with with everything, especially like when we were talking about the don't ask, don't tell appeal and stuff. I was in the military when all that was happening, and I knew a bunch of my friends that were gay but were afraid to come out because they were worried about their careers and stuff. And you know, you just being a good person, just listening to them and just talking to them, and reassuring them like, hey dude, it's cool, like it's okay, like I have your back no matter what, and if anyone else says something else, then I have your back to defend you. So making sure that you know people that are worried about coming out know that they have a good support system, because statistically a lot of the suicides are people that don't know that they have that support, or that they were
Yeah.
pushed into a corner where they felt that they were alone or trapped, or they couldn't break free. So I think it as a mentality of not just streaming, but just as like a world entity, like we should be there for each other no matter what it is. Like, okay, like you have a different preference in things than I do. uh, I'm not gonna hate you for it. Like, cool, like, okay, like we're just because you enjoy something that I wouldn't. Why would I have hate for you on that? So it's kind of just the ignorance of people. But again, it's their willingness to learn. If they're not willing to learn, then that's on them. That's you're able to just say, okay, well, I've showed you what my pieces are. This is what why I support the things that I do. And if you don't have it, then okay, then that's not you're not an energy that I need in my life, or a piece that I need to have next to me. So
Absolutely.
That's another really like important people don't realize the effect that it has to have one supportive person in their life as a queer person. There was a study, I can't remember the study off the top of my head, but there was a study done that the suicide rate amongst trans youth decreases by 17/19, which is almost I can't do the math off the top of my head, but that's almost 100%. It decreases by 17/19 if they have one person and one family member that supports them. One family member. And that's huge because just one family member can decrease the suicide rate among trans youth by almost 100%. And it helps a lot. It does help a lot um to have people there for you. Because you don't, sometimes a lot of people deal with, parents that aren't accepting or family that's not accepting, and that's hard because you love your parents and you love your family. And so help having like just a really good friend that is there for you, or just, an aunt or whoever, makes a really big difference. And so even if you can't change somebody's perspective on, being a hateful dickhead, you at least have somebody that you can rely on, and that helps a lot.
yeah, I mean, like I said, that's how it should be. No one should be taught to hate, and it kind of sucks that that's the accepted culture. I guess I guess you could say that's what it is now, or you know people hate whether it's a sexuality preference or color. So it kind of sucks because, well, it's not kind of sucks. I mean, it does suck. Because that that separates us. That doesn't bring us together, and all of us are meant to support each other, and have each other as a community. So putting someone on an island obviously is not the way that it should be, and no one should ever you know put someone technically out because of what they who they are as a person. No one should be subjected to that. So
Especially when it's something so easy to do.
yeah, exactly. Like it's so this analogy is not you know minimalizing it, but how they say you know being there for a streamer, it costs nothing, right? Liking, sharing, being there for them when they need, right? It's the same with someone that's, you know, having a struggle for, coming out, or for someone that has, mental issues. Just, being there for them, that's you being a good human. That's not, oh, I haven't done anything good this month. Let me check off this box to fill my quota for the month, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
it's just you just being a good person, just in general. So
Yeah. And it's not, I mean, it's not bad either to want to diversify your friend group. Just don't do it for the sake of, you know, I guess just being able to say that you have a gay friend or something,
yeah,
because people from different types of backgrounds and sexualities and races and stuff, they offer you a different perspective. And so it's not that's good, to want to diversify your friend group and expand your, you know, like the type of content that you I should say ingest. Um because sometimes we have different perspectives and we, see things differently than you might. And I think that's a really big part of like eradicating that type of hate, is because it's a lot of the times, like, the people here in my hometown are hateful because they're poorly educated and they've never been anywhere outside of their um Thomasville's not that big. So a lot of the people here, the town behind here, Denton, has one stoplight in the whole town, and that's it. And these are like poor, uneducated people who, are just working class, and they haven't been, exposed to a lot of different types of races, a lot of different types of cultures, um, people of different sexualities, religions. So everything that they have to go off of is what their, what their mom and dad told them. Their mom and dad only have to go off of what Papa and Nana told them. And it's the same thing because they're all successive generations of people who have been, poorly educated, that have never left this area. Like, I have people who have been here for like 3 generations. And then even some of my best friends who I had lived with at one point, they used to be super hateful, they used to be super racist, they used to say things that used to kind of like, wait, like, um and it wasn't until I met them in high school that they kind of learned, and they were like, well, I didn't know that that was racist because I had never met a Mexican person. I had never met a Japanese person until I met you. I had never met a bisexual woman until I met you. And so all it took was them just meeting one person, me, and it kind of opened up their perspective completely. And they're like, "Wow, I never knew that that was racist. That's something that, like, they used to say the N word like it was nothing." And they were like, my parents used to say that, and I learned it. They told me they learned it in church, and it's just like because they were confined to this little community that was all made up of the same type of people. And then until they had to get out of that little town and go to we went to an early college. That's when they met me, and I started being like, you can't say that. And that's when they learned, that's not an acceptable, word to say. That's not an acceptable language. That's not acceptable language to use around, anybody, but much less towards this group of people.
yep, I 100% agree. And yeah, coming from um, like what you're saying, like the where they learned it from, those generations prior, being able to accept that and learn, the past behaviors obviously were not correct. You know,
Mhm.
that's a well, one, a good step, as anyone should, right? Because like I said, we're all growing, we're all learning every day. I mean, everyone's learning something new. Um,
Mhm.
but it doesn't take much for you to be just a good human, just period across the board. So I mean, that's what we all should strive to be at the end of the day, is just being a good person, not just for ourselves but for others that are around us. If people are in a group of people that you know where they just don't you know have the same thoughts in terms of, okay, well guys, this is wrong, but then the other group is like, well, no, that's no, that's fine, being racist and or sexist into that is okay. If if you feel uncomfortable in that, then that might just mean that you've grown outside of what limitations they might have. You know what I mean? So being able to expand yourself outside of that is a good place to be.
Mhm.
So I wanted to thank you, okay, because I know that's this topic is always very hard to talk about. Whether it's just a casual Discord conversation, a public speaking session, or just having one-on-one with family and friends. Like it's always very hard and very difficult. So I wanted to thank you for speaking about it, and then Jelly for you as well for talking about it as well. Um, like I said, we're all family here, all friends, and in this community, what you guys built your community as, they have your back too. So again, to anyone that's in chat, anyone that'll listen to this later, you have a community, you have a safe place, you have multiple communities to go to. Um, so know that you know Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube might have its dark side, but these three people that are here on this podcast are kind of the light to that dark. So never forget that. Um, so with that, um, again, I want to thank all three of you for this. I'm going to open up the floor to all three of you if you guys have any questions for us as the hosts, or if you guys have any other items that you would like to talk about. This, like I said, this time is your guys's, so feel free to have the floor.
I just want to say thank you because I appreciate I mean, of course, I appreciate Nuria also telling us. I thought it was really sweet because I've never been approached like that. Um, Mostly because I don't think, like I said earlier, I don't think I'm the best person to represent the queer community. I know there's definitely a lot of people, a lot more, a lot of people that are better versed in like the history and stuff and like the research done. Um, but I still think it's a good opportunity to represent my community, and I really appreciate that um that Nia reached out, and it was very kind, and especially during Pride Month, when we're celebrating, my community. Um, so uh that was nice. It's just very heartwarming.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for asking to have us on here. I don't really feel any kind of special to be chosen to be on your podcast here, but I appreciate you guys thinking of us to come and be on this and speak about all of the sexism that goes on in gaming and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's really irritating to see every day. So being able to have a place to talk about how what you say has an impact on others is definitely a good thing. So yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is a really big I guess display of allyship. Because a lot of people won't do this out of just, we don't want to upset anybody uh type of vibe. And I think it's really very I mean, I applaud you guys for doing it, because a lot of people won't bother to go out of their way to give queer and female streamers the floor to describe their experiences and how it affects them, and just being able to put them somewhere where people will listen to them. Like, that's something very important that you guys have done, and I appreciate you guys for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's definitely a lack of, I guess, chance for female streamers to be able to talk and voice their concerns, and be able to be open and candid about stuff. And I think Nearest Choice and Lineup was great. You guys brought a lot of light to a lot of stuff that people in chat might not have known about, or learn something new that they didn't even know was something that was going on. So again, like I said, this the way we wanted TalkCast to be was about everyone in the community, and streamers, and being able to empower those that didn't feel that they had a voice, and now they have a platform to be able to come and talk about what it is that's either weighing on them heavy, or whether it's just something that they're passionate about. This is what we wanted TalkCast to be, and I think we're both very happy on being able to see it continue to be that. So thank you guys for being that that chance to show that anyone else that wants to or needs to have uh, their voice heard, like, has a safe place to do it at.
Sorry, I was muted. I said, uh, I do that a lot. No, it's really awesome what you guys are doing with not only TalkCast, but just how supportive your community is of small streamers in general. Again, like, Sarah reached out to, talk about her website and just has been like really supportive. I don't really think I did anything to deserve how supportive she's being. So it's just really cool that you guys like are really here to just kind of make an impact, I guess, and yeah, be there for others. So that's a really cool thing you're doing.
Well, thank you. But again, like, because I have to tell Nira this too. Um, you guys are awesome in what you guys do, what you guys talk about, how you present yourselves. You guys are awesome to the core. And being able to reinstill that and remind you guys, not as just content creators, but as people, individuals, that's what we enjoy. Being able to remind, like, hey, you guys are the ones doing this. We just want to highlight what it is that you guys are doing. It's you guys that are doing the hard work in the end, right? You guys are the ones that are doing the content, that are putting yourselves out there, that are trying to put a message out and across. So in the end, it's thank you guys for being you, and not letting those diminish your light that you're trying to give to us. So I'm gonna see, Breezy, do you have anything that you would like to?
So yeah, I think there was a couple that came up in chat. Here we go. There's this will be well for both, obviously, but I think it's more towards LK. The question brought up in reference to pronouns and what other streamers can do to learn more in reference to the pronouns.
So, pronouns. Okay. So pronouns. I mean, this is pretty much the same as when somebody is what somebody is asking you to address them as. Um, like, for example, I identify as a female, so I'm a cisgendered female. So I use she, her pronouns. And they're actually in my Twitter. I have it on my Twitter handle, so people don't have to ask. But it's always a really really easy question to ask. I asked Jelly Jelly remembers this. I asked her in her stream whenever I first was in her stream. I'm like, hey, do you mind telling me what because she didn't have them in her bio or anything. So I said, do you mind telling me what pronouns you like to go by? And she just, I think she was a little bit confused because I think she had never been asked that question.
This is true. This is true.
But I eventually found
like I
out that
said, I'm
she
learning.
yeah, so and so she didn't really understand what I meant by that. So when I was in chat, I'm like, yeah, do you use she her pronouns? Do you use they them pronouns? Because I don't like to assume, and I don't think anybody should assume either, but assume what somebody likes to go by. You know, it's not that hard to do. I um you know, it's just as easy as like whenever you asked me, you know, what would you like to be called? Would you like to be called? Would you like to have lactakelvin under your, you know, little, or would you like me to call you LK? The same thing in person. I have two different first names. That's why I go by LK. You know, people will ask, you know, do you go by Laura Kimiko or do you go by LK? I'm like, I go by LK. And it's just as simple as that. You know, you ask somebody like, hey, do you mind, you know, telling me what your pronouns are? I'm like, oh, I go by he him. You know, that's easy. You can, you know, now you know, okay, I refer to this person as he him because he identifies as a male. Easy, simple. End of conversation. So I think people just have to be more aware that sometimes they will say it in their bio, sometimes they'll be pretty clear about it. Other times you might have to ask them explicitly, hey, do you mind if I ask what pronouns to use for you? You know, it's just a matter of like respect, you know, because it even if you don't understand, you know, why does somebody use they them pronouns? It's not, I mean, it doesn't really have to do anything with you understanding. It has to do with what that person would like to be addressed as. Um, and like I said, it like we said earlier, it costs you nothing to use the right pronouns for somebody. You know, if somebody wants to be called they them, refer to them as they them. That's easy.
Yeah,
So, you
it's
know,
Yeah,
just
very
just
fair.
ask politely. It's not that hard. Just ask
Mhm.
politely if you don't know.
yeah, it always gets me because you know, Mister, Mrs. Right? How it's
Mm.
so easily to say. Why is it hard for some people to say, you know, the other pronouns? I mean,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
already have that base there. It should just be, oh, okay. Well, that's easy just to ask. So
Right.
I guess people just get caught up in it, and again, where their past upbringing or
Mhm.
teachings, like that's I think that's where sometimes it uh, makes a roadblock for them to be like,
Right.
well, why should I accept something else? It's like you already use it, and
Yeah,
what's the issue?
exactly.
Yep.
So
Like you already use, you know, she her pronouns for people who you assume are female and he him pronouns for people who you assume are male. So why doesn't it would make it much, you know, if it's just out of respect, you know, it costs you nothing, it's really easy to do, you know, and you don't assume anything about anybody that could possibly be hurtful to them.
yep, I agree.
Yep,
Mhm.
I do as well.
So I think this next question is for you, LK. It says,
Okay.
with science, do you see you continuing that content even later in your career? And do you think you're a role model for young women in science?
Um I don't know if I'm a role model for women for young
No, no,
women in
no, 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 no.
science. But I already knew Jelly was gonna do that. Um, I mean, I have several nieces, and I try to do the same thing that my grandpa and my mom did with me, with inspiring them to do, you know, tell them, you know, do you can do whatever you want to do. And I think that's why my cousins have me hang out with them so much because they're like, we need you to, you know, we want them to like you make an impression on them because you're, you know, you're like one of the first people in our family to go to college, and you're one of the first, you know, went like females to go to, you know, college and be in a STEM major, be in a technical major. And but in that regards, I don't necessarily know if I'm a role model. I don't consider myself one, but I hope to be one. Um and that's why I started my stream. But in terms of me continuing in my career, I'm not sure. I would like to, because I did start it as just kind of like, you know, maybe this will buff up my resume from medical school. But I genuinely enjoy it now. So I think I might try to do that. Especially because I like talking about science. I think it's fun. I think it's really cool, and I learn a lot of cool stuff all the time. And sometimes when I learn something in class, I'm like, oh, this would be a good thing to make a stream out of. So maybe I can do that in medical school too.
Yep.
I think you underestimate the significance of just seeing someone who is like you in a role that you might have never thought you could be in, I guess. Like at my job, all of the leadership positions are filled by, um, middle-aged white men. That's a very big conversation right now. Is like, so how am I supposed to like not have confidence in advancing my career when there aren't any examples of a woman in that position? So there's a lot of emphasis right now on creating connections between um, younger women at the company and people who are in leadership roles but may not have their like face posted on the wall, you know what I mean? So that you can, have people to go to, because even just seeing somebody who you can relate to in that sort of position is a role model. So you're a
Yeah,
good influence. Yeah.
yeah, I think now that you think about it, we just had this conversation the other day because I showed you a picture of me whenever I was 15, and that was my first time. I had watched a neurosurgery for the first time because I was volunteering at my hometown hospital, and I was volunteering in the post anesthesia care unit. And the nurses there were asking me, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I want to be a neurosurgeon." And they were like, "Oh, cool." And I was like 14, 15. So they weren't expecting me to have like a concrete answer. And so then on my second day, I showed up for my 4-hour volunteer shift. And one of the nurses pulls me aside and she says, "Hey, so we have you scheduled for a surgery. It's a craniotomy after your shift, and it's with Dr. Kilpatrick." And up until that point, all of the doctors that had interacted with me and that I had seen were all, like Jelly said, older white men. Um, and I had only seen one female doctor, but it was in passing. And so I didn't really talk to her. And she was just kind of like there, and she was, doing her job. So she kind of just, ran through the post anesthesia care unit and then out. Um, and so I was assuming that Dr. Kilpatrick was just going to be another white guy. And to my huge surprise, she was actually a black woman. And we only had two neurosurgeons at that time. So it was her and Dr. Zubruck. And so uh she was the only black female surgeon in the entire hospital, but she was also the only female surgeon in the county and the female neurosurgeon in the county and surrounding counties. Um and I remember one time I watched another surgery with her, and they had actually had another female surgeon come and assist her from Chapel Hill, and she was the only other female surgeon that she had actually worked with her during her residency. And so she came all the way from Chapel Hill to assist her. I can't remember what the surgery was. I think it was a they were removing some sort of tumor. Um, but that was pretty much one of the only times that I had seen a woman of color in surgery in the specialty that I wanted to do as well. And so that was pretty cool, and I didn't understand the impact that it had on me up until now.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
Jelly's right. I am being a little too humble.
No, but that's good. That's why you have that, that support that reminds us sometimes of, like I said, that you guys are doing amazing stuff, and sometimes you just need, that support to remind you, like, hey, no, you know, this is where you see yourself, but this is where you really are. Like you know, you're a lot higher than where you're seeing yourselves. We're all our own worst critics when it comes to stuff that we're doing. So sometimes it's nice to have that support, and Jelly is that perfect example of showing that, just like you are to her as well. So it's nice to see, because, like I said, this is the exact stuff that we were talking about earlier, and you guys are showing it, just how it is, just naturally between the two of you. So So Jelly, I do have a question that's not from chat, but from what that you had just said, how in like your particular career field, how you see it as, or how it is as mostly dominated by men, and someone that might be entering in the same career field that you are, you know, uh, what resources would you tell that person that's entering your career field in order to have, like what you said, that role model to be able to reach out to learn experiences from, and then two, how to.
You broke up at the end there.
Oh,
Could
I'm
you
sorry.
repeat?
Yeah.
Could you repeat that?
Yeah, no worries. So someone that's
Just at the end.
that's a good question. I might have to start over. Sorry. Um, someone that's new coming into your career field, what resources that they could reach out to in order to have that female role model that you were talking about, and then to kind of that community of being able to continue to develop their career in an equal manner compared to the male dominated side of your career field.
Yeah, I would just say there are always people willing to like be available, I guess, as career mentors. But don't be afraid to ask to be introduced to one or to seek one out. Um, also, try not to try not to feel like you're not as qualified as other people have the same amount of experience as you, just because I feel like a lot of times when you're not the majority in a situation, you feel out of place. Um, so even though you might have that underneath, try to at least present yourself um, confidently if you can, and then you'll grow to overcome that. Um, yeah, unless you're at some like super toxic company, there should be there should be plenty of people more than willing to share their experiences and how they got to where they are. Um, just don't be afraid to ask for help, I guess.
Yeah. And what you were saying in terms of toxic companies, even right now, there's a lot of companies that don't have like women empowered conferences or like LGBT. I always mess up the acronym, so I apologize.
Okay.
Um, empowering that community or different ethnicities. So it's kind of hard to watch because I've seen a couple companies that I've worked in that didn't have that before. Um, but now as time has grown, a lot more companies are accepting of that. Um, so does that mean possibly we'll see a company from you, Jelly, here soon, or your own company?
Doubtful, but
Hey,
no, but it's actually been really, really good how proactive my company is with making sure they understand everyone's perspectives, making sure that you have resources to go to, um, and also making sure that you're not afraid to speak up if something is wrong. So, um, I think especially with younger people coming into companies, you're more likely to feel more strongly about things in the beginning, as opposed to like over time, you just kind of become less affected by things. So I would just take advantage of the beginning of your career and express the concerns and ideas as much as you can, because a lot of times new perspectives just help with growth in general. At least my company appreciates that. So
no, that's good. I
Which
mean,
is good because yeah, a lot of companies don't. Like I worked at a hospital and they didn't have anything like that. Like some of my coworkers would say outlandish stuff to me and I'm like, "What? Why do they not have like diversity and inclusivity training? Because some of you think that you can just say whatever to me." Like I had somebody who was like, she asked me, she's like, "Well, how did you know you were bisexual?" And I'm like, why are you asking me this at work? This is so uncomfortable. And then she would say, something like, well, my friend's daughter just came out as lesbian, but she's 16. And I'm like, how do you know if you haven't had sex with a man? And I was like, Sandra, did you know that you didn't like women whenever you were like 15 because you didn't have sex with a man? Like that made no sense to me. I was like, what? I'm like, and I sat there and I'm like, Sandra, let me walk you through this for a second. Let me tell you how stupid you sound. Because they didn't have any inclusivity training or diversity training or anything like that at the hospital. So everybody was just walking around acting a fool whenever, they're like, oh, did you know that so and so is, gay, or so and so is like, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, and what about it? Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, I think yeah, the whole training piece too was I'm glad that companies are now better positioned to actually provide that training. But yeah, prior years there was a lot of places that didn't have that training at all. So it was kind of interesting sometimes to walk into conversations that are happening around, in a public manner, just being blatantly disregarded and just kind of pushed out. Like, I don't think that's okay. This is. Oh, you're the VP. Oh, this is lovely.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
Jelly, we should start a company. That's what we should do.
Let's get one
We should
going.
start
Let's
a
get one
company.
going. I tried that once. It didn't really work out for me.
Look, once I get my ensign money from being a Navy officer, I got you. I just need to marry somebody and I'll get paid more and we're set.
See, there you go.
Easy.
And dub. But again, I want to thank you guys for being open and honest, and just sitting here, just talking. Like, this has been very amazing to hear, and like I said, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys again very much. I don't have any further questions. Breezy, I'll drop it to you if you have any additionals.
No, I don't.
Do you guys, LK or Jelly, have anything that you guys would like to ask or to say, or?
I'm good.
No,
Just thanks again for having us.
yeah, I think this was really nice. I freaked out for no reason.
Same.
I was really nervous for absolutely no reason.
Yep.
Yeah, it's always nervous before being able to actually do it for the first time. So, like I said, I'm glad this is something that we all got to do together, because now
Absolutely.
this is one additional thing that we're able to say, like, we did together, we learned together, and we grew together. I think this is great. So one last question that came in. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to read it. Okay, so someone is interested in hearing how much more progressive areas are. They feel that the Midwest hasn't even started in this conversation. I'm assuming that's towards the. Or is it more towards the female side in career progression, or is this question more towards the LGBTQ community question? So that I'm not
So
sure.
I think he asked if we're all from the West. I'm from the East.
Yeah,
I know a
from
lot
the
of people
Northeast.
yeah, I think a lot of people consider the West a little bit more progressive. Um, I I don't obviously the only reason that I'm well versed on this matter is because I am a queer woman. So um but people around here in the East are especially because I'm in the South. I'm in North Carolina, and so a lot of people here still aren't having those conversations. So um I guess it just depends on where you are. I feel like further up north might be a little bit more progressive than down here in the East, but I'm not. I mean, I
Depends where you are, honestly.
Yep.
makes sense.
It
Yeah,
literally
because
varies town by town. So
I think here the most the more progressive areas are the bigger cities, obviously like Charlotte. The really the cities where you have like universities, because that's where a lot of people come, from all different types of, we have a lot of international students at my university in Charlotte. And so I think that helps a lot too. And the fact that it's not just bigger, but also we have a lot of different types of students there. And probably the same thing goes for like Chapel Hill and Wake Forest and all the other different types of university cities that we have here.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think as time goes on, it'll eventually branch out into the smaller towns as well, and then hopefully the good side of the branching out will go to the smaller towns. So. Yeah, they were saying they were from Cornfield, Indiana, so they were just wondering. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Cornfield, the name of the town, or did they just make the? Because I'm inclined to believe that that's actually the name.
Yeah, I think Indiana and Nebraska are like the two main corn states. Is that correct? So I remember driving through Nebraska and all I saw for like 100 miles was just cornfields in the snow at nighttime, which is a terrifying thing, by the way. But yeah, with that, if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm gonna open it up one more time to chat. If you guys have any last questions before we let our guests go for the evening. Pause for dramatic effect. Okay. And I think with that, guys, again, chat, I want to thank you guys for your questions. Our guests, I want to thank you guys very much again. Breezy, again, thank you very much for hosting this with me.
Thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It was very fun.
I look forward to to continuing to grow with you guys and learn more. So I appreciate it. And with that, chat, I want to thank you guys. And until next time, be safe, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.
Thank you. See you guys.
Yeah. Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a 6 sense for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chains. Can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys, cause I break the chains. They try to hold me, I'ma push back, just wait and you'll see. Please excuse me, Your Honor, but you can't hold me no longer. Can't you feel the vibrations? I broke out and left traces. Go ahead, try to catch me if you can, man. You'll be looking all night, I'm the Sandman. New York, London to Japan. I'ma show the whole world who I am. Boom, boom, Major look, huh? Yeah, this one is for the books. All these chances I took still. I move straight on these rooks now. Hold me up or hold me down. Have my back or hold my crown. Either you with me or not, but you better give all you got, cause I break the chains. Can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys, cause I break the chains. They try to hold me.